from Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 8. A word about seasons of life. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. Our second reading is from Genesis chapter 32. The same night he got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 maids, and his 11 children, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. He took them and sent them across the stream, and likewise everything that he had. Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he struck him on the hip socket, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. Then he said, "Let me go, for the day is breaking." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." So he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." Then the man said, "You shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with humans and have prevailed." Then Jacob asked him, "Please tell me your name." But he said, "Why is it that you ask my name?" And there he blessed him. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, "I have seen God face to face, yet my life is preserved." The sun rose upon him as he passed Peniel, limping because of his hip. Therefore, to this day, the Israelites do not eat the thigh muscle that is on the hip socket, because he struck Jacob on the hip socket at the thigh muscle. Here ends the reading of this morning.
So lots of talk so far today about seasons and the changing in seasons. So we might be a week early, maybe on talking about going into fall, but it's been on my mind a lot, so that's where our sermon has come from. So I know there's a line that a lot of us know: for everything there is a season, and that's what I focused on. So in our reading, we heard there's a time to laugh and a time to weep, a time to dance and a time to mourn. And as the sun slips away earlier these days, and the holidays creep closer, whether we want to think about that or not, many of us can feel both of these verses at the same time. Some of us can be ready to dance at what's upcoming. And others of us might be holding back tears at the lack of daylight that we're about to feel or the holidays approaching. And I don't think either of those is a failure or anything in faith. I think it's just life, and that part is named in the scripture. For everything there is a season, and there is a time to laugh and a time to weep and a time to dance and a time to mourn. And Genesis gives us a picture of these mixed seasons. Jacob alone at night and wrestling. He doesn't wrestle with ideas, but he's wrestling with someone. a mysterious, holy someone. He fights and he clings and he refuses to give up. He won't let go. I will not let you go unless you bless me. And by morning, he has a new name, and he has a limp that he's going to carry forever. He has a blessing and a limp that both arrived at the same time. And I think that can happen to us as well. Sometimes we get a limp and we have to look for the blessing, and other time we get a blessing and can't even feel the limp. But faith is not pretending that the night isn't dark or that the limp isn't there. Faith is holding on to God in the dark until the blessing comes. And I think some nights can be like that for us. I know they are for me. When we wrestle with grief that doesn't necessarily give us the time we want, or that we have to give it more time than we want, or we argue with anxiety at 3 a.m, when we carry questions that we can't fix. And Jacob shows us what to do about it. Don't let go of God. Pray that stubborn prayer and don't let go of God in those times. And here's the promise that Psalm 121, that Sadie helped us with, lays alongside of Jacob's story. The Lord will not slumber. The Lord will keep your life. You're going out and you're coming in. The Lord will not slumber. The Lord will keep your life. You're going out and you're coming in. So when you can't sleep, God does not nod off. Now, I don't often bring my phone up here, but I read something this morning because it's the first thing I do when I wake up after I go and get my phone because I don't sleep with it. I don't know how many of you get the daily devotional from the UCC. Does anyone else get that emailed to them every day? All right. If some people, if not, if you go to ucc.org, you can sign up for the daily devotional. So this morning, it's something from Martha Spring. I will lift my eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. Psalm 121, verses 1 and 2. And here's what's interesting about that. When I first was preparing my sermon, and I read that because it was in the book that we should use it, I thought, I think I can put that somewhere, but I can't remember where I can put that, like where I have heard that and where it's in my head. And then I read this morning from Martha Spong, and she reminded me where I had heard it. 2 weeks ago, I talked about movies. Can anyone name the movie that that's from? I'm going to say it again because I know you guys have seen this movie. Last time you might not have known all my movies. I will lift up my eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. A nun, the mother, says this towards the end of the movie, that you might watch around Christmas time, but it's not really a Christmas movie. No one? They're exiting Austria. Now we get it. The Hills, Sound of Music. All right. You guys should get the daily devotional. Anyway, I thought it was just very fitting that it came today, right when we were doing the sermon. So anyway, when your strength runs thin, God stands watch. And that's what that says. So the hills that are around us here are beautiful, and I think they're beautiful year-round. But the help isn't necessarily the hills themselves. It's the Lord who made them. So this week, I had one of those early days in the season that is changing. And it was a tough day. I had a long drive to Rutland for a doctor's appointment, a much longer doctor's appointment than I'm used to, where I had to move my body for them to test it in ways that I know are not good. So I had pain was flaring up, but I had another long drive to go pick up Willow, my dog, from the groomer. And as those of you who know, I would not leave Willow, the dog, at the groomer longer than necessary. So when I finally got home, it was afternoon, and I was having trouble. So I decided to sit/lay down on the sofa. I do that sometimes when no one's home, because if I get stuck, it's easier for me to get off the sofa than off the bed. So sure enough, I got stuck. And when I mean I get stuck, I mean I'm laying on my side and I don't have the strength in my abs, even with using my arms to sometimes move once I'm not sore. So what I do, and I hope there's no cameras around at the time, is I shimmy my legs and I flop my feet and my legs off the sofa or the bed. And then once I have them off, I try and role where then I can use my hands either on the coffee table or on the sofa or the bed to leverage and stand up. I've gotten quite good at it. It's not pretty, like I said, but I've gotten good at it. So this happened to me, and I had to get up. So then later on in the day, at least I was trying to think of what I could look forward to. And it had rained the day prior, so I was like, well, when the boys get home, I'll have a fire pit, and that will bring me joy, because they'll sit out there not on devices and spend some time with me. So right when I went out to get the fire pit started, so I couldn't get told no, because I knew the level was at a 2, but sometimes Kevin still vetoes the fire in the fire pit at a 2, so I was going to start it ahead of time. The wind picked up. So I knew that was a no-go in my world. And then I said, well, I've now convinced Caden that since I'm sore via texting, that he doesn't want me to make him a birthday cake because this happened to be his birthday. He's giving Mom a pass, not because he knew I needed it, but because I convinced him how amazing the ice cream cakes were at the grocery store and how his grandmother used to buy them from his dad. And anyway, I went on, and I convinced Caden that I don't have to make him a cake, which I do every year, and he was sold on the ice cream cake. So around 4:30 or 4:45, I drove from my house up to the grocery store right by the church, and it was already dark that day. Now, granted, it was a gray day outside, but I was really struggling, and all I could think about was, are you kidding me? It's already going to get dark earlier, and winter is coming. But then right then, a song came on the radio, and that song is one that I really enjoy. It's Only Jesus for My Pain. And I won't sing it because we know I don't sing, and that's for your benefit, not mine, because I do sing in my car when I'm alone. But the words go, only Jesus knows the questions, the things I'm scared to say. Only Jesus holds the answers to the troubles I can't face. And every single road I take leads right back to this place, only Jesus for my pain. Every time I tried to run, his kindness called my name. You'd think that I have learned by now, only Jesus for my pain. So, not a solved problem in any way, stretch or form, but just a reminder that even in the ache, Jesus is there. And for me, that was enough, and that was enough for the light, for the next step. So, what do we do in this early dark? And maybe no one here is affected by the early dark when it comes. I know I have some friends that are. So first, I think we need to tell the truth about our season. So if you're in a time to mourn, say so, and let your friends and your church friends carry that with you. And if you're in a time to laugh, share the joy, because some other people might love that joy and might need to borrow some of your joy for a time period. Second, practice the stubborn prayer. Jacob's line makes for me a good breath prayer. So a breath prayer, if you have never tried it, is when you think of something on the inhale, and then you think of something else on the exhale. So you can either think it or say it. So for me, on the Jacob's line, I would inhale on Lord, and I would exhale, I won't let go, bless me. Let's try that. So inhale, Lord, exhale, I won't let go, bless me. Inhale, Lord, exhale, I won't let go, bless me. Something you might be able to use in the coming week. Or you could borrow from Psalm 121, my help comes from the Lord. And you could pray that on your walk at the sink or when sleep won't come. My help comes from the Lord. And another one I thought to myself, in your corporate days, you coached and you helped people set up their environment for success. And in my self-talk, I said, Cristi, you better get busy at that for yourself with this coming up season. So some of the things that I've been doing and that I'm doing going forward to help myself get ready are, one, I'm a grouch in the morning if we don't get to start the morning with the morning. I like to have yesterday gone, put behind me, whether it's good or bad. So I've made extra effort to make sure my kitchen is ready for the morning and that I don't have to walk into the night before. This morning, I think I had 8 boys up at my house. Last night, I assure you, I walked into the night before when I walked into my kitchen this morning. So I left and came here really early. But I do the little things. I fill my teapot up with water, the kettle, so I don't have to do that. I make sure all dishes are dried and put away. So I'm ready to come in for coffee, tea, making breakfast, and the new day. I don't have to worry about yesterday. Again, a small thing. Music helps me. Not singing the music in front of other people, but music helps me. So my daughter, I pay for our Apple Music, but she controls it. I don't know enough about technology to know how that works, but she is in control of our family Apple Music plan. So she has several playlists on there for us. One of them I like is Yeehaw Country, where she puts a lot of our country songs. But she's now helping me make one that she named Buck Up Buttercup. That's right, we have a playlist now, Buck Up Buttercup for mommy. So it has fun, upbeat songs that I know by heart. Well, to rephrase that, I think I know them by heart, but I could be saying the wrong words. It just doesn't matter. So many are Christian rock, some country, and then even a few current songs that she sneaks in that I don't know how I know the words from, maybe just from when they play it, but I do. So even though I can't carry a tune, I can sing out loud in the car or when I'm home alone. And I think that helps the body hear what's in the heart, and music is a great tool for that. And then a few weeks ago, I was reminded by a friend that even the small things can lift us up when the days are heavy. A friend of mine visited, that she lives in Virginia, and she's one of my dearest friends from high school. And she and I both have some significant health challenges that we're struggling with. So she came up to visit in Vermont, and then we left and we drove down to watch Caden, who's her godson, play baseball in Connecticut. Her son played baseball in college, so she's used to, this is what we do. And on the way down, we stopped and walked around Chester, and then we stopped at Yankee Candle. Two things that I have rarely done and never do, even though I've done that drive for years. So we poked around a few shops, and in one, she tried on a wrap that shimmered and looked gorgeous on her. She is a very beautiful person, inside and out. And I thought, wow, how fun that is. And I asked her how she was going to wear it, and she named all the wonderful ways. So next thing you know, I have one. And I thought to myself, because I normally don't splurge or buy something for myself that's extra. After all, this isn't warm, right? It's not going to keep me warm in the winter. It's not super practical, but it's got fun and it's got bling. And I think sometimes a shared laughter, a touch of color, or an act of kindness, or a gift to ourselves can help us if we're not feeling great. I asked her if she had already worn hers, and she said yes, and she might wear it again. So I'm sure she's going to watch our church service now or later. So even though I don't know she's wearing it, in my mind we're wearing it, and we're totally twinning today. So just, my friend Rochelle, in my mind, has hers that's similar on, and we are twinning in out of state. And I have another friend that used to talk about her seasonal depression a lot. And she tried everything. She had a fancy lamp. She readjusted her day so she could walk outside and see daylight. She worked the problem from every angle, and it really, really troubled her for a long time. And over the past and I never understood it. I couldn't understand it because winter was always my favorite season. It was my favorite season because I was with my family so much. We would drive up from Connecticut. We would go skiing together. The kids would be in their program. They'd meet us for lunch. We'd all have lunch together Saturday and Sunday at the lodge. And then we would just sit around the fire. With the house we rented before we bought up here, we didn't have internet, and I did that on purpose. So the kids, we read and we played games. I thought it was just great. But lately, it's not so exciting for me. The winter, as it comes, I have a lot of winter weight, both the physical and the mental winter weight. Because for me, it means my family's not gone 5 days, they're gone 7, because I can't snowboard any longer. And so everyone's at the mountains on weekends, and I'm not there. So what I've done now is I've started to pre-set myself up for success. I've signed up for an extra class. I'm talking someone here into a cooking class. I have projects set up that I want to do. I have recipes cut out for fancy dinners that I'll make whether people want them or not. And all these just small markers of joy in setting up my environment so when the wrestles come, I know I have something to hold on to help me get through the season. And fourth, I think we have to let our limp come with compassion. If we're given a limp, we have to know the blessing is there. And when the places that we've wrestled become places we can understand others the best. So not to think of our limps as a disqualification or a burden, but think of its testimony and remember that God met you there and God is still there. And as some of you know, I like to pray when I'm walking. I like to listen to the river. I like to see the light through the trees. and I like to notice the really small things. Creation tutors persistence, and the stream keeps running, the moss keeps growing, and eventually dawn always breaks. And in God's time, our blessings will show up. There's a book by Barbara Brown Taylor, Learning to Walk in the Dark. In it, there's a quote, "New life starts in the dark. Whether it's a seed in the ground, a baby in the womb, or Jesus in the tomb, it starts in the dark." And I love that. And I think it reminds us that even when we can't see the outcome or feel the light, God is still at work, and he's at work beneath our surface sometimes. So the seed doesn't sprout in daylight, it grows in the hidden soil. The resurrection began before sunrise. And maybe the same is true for us, when it feels like darkness might actually be the beginning of something new. So, for everything, there is a season. If you're wrestling like Jacob, you're not alone. For God, who met Jacob in the night, also meets you. God neither slumbers nor sleeps. So hold on tight, morning is coming, and with it, a blessing with each and everyone's name on it. Amen. If you could join us in